Pure Soul members, welcome to the month of August. I'm really glad that you guys are here with me. It really does mean a lot that you're part of the Pure Soul community, and I appreciate that so much. I enjoy spending time with you, and I especially love our Ask Nikki Zooms. I think those are great conversations, and I appreciate your participation. If you haven't connected with us yet on our monthly Zooms, I really encourage you to do so. We have some really deep, in-depth conversations, and it's always fulfilling for me, and I think it is for the participants that join. So I hope to see all of you that don't usually attend. I hope you do find some time in your day to attend, which brings me to the date that we are going to do the Ask Nikki this month is Wednesday, August 21st at 6 p.m. Central Time, which is 7 p.m. for me because I'm on the East Coast time. East Coast time zone. So it'll be 7 o'clock for me, but 6 o'clock for you guys. And I hope to see you there on August 21st. I did make some changes to the membership page. And what I've done is I put an archive there to give you access to all of the old content and all of the old videos that I have shared for the last few years as we've been doing the Pure Soul membership connection. So I did put an archive that you'll be able to search. It asks you for a category, you search the category, and then you'll be able to find any of the old videos or documents that you might be looking for from previous content that I've shared. And you will also be able to, on the same membership page, you'll be able to see the video for the month that we'll be discussing, and that there will still be a worksheet connected to it if you want to print it off and do it, fill it out, see if it works for you. And also, I think that's all. Oh, I did put the discount for 20% off of an individual spiritual session with me for the members only. And I also encourage you to invite your friends and family to join us. And if you ever just want to bring somebody for, just for a visit on our Ask Nikki Zoom, I encourage that. Maybe they'll like it and they will join us and add to our conversation. For this month, I do want to let you know that we drew the Hanged Man tarot card, and this really inspired a lot of thought in me, which is kind of interesting how it all came about. But when I drew the card, it kind of sunk in pretty deeply. The Hanged Man tarot card is really about like taking a conscious break or a retreat from the physical world around you. And usually when we're inspired to do that, it's because we don't really feel like we're present. We kind of feel like we're in a space of suspension or a space of waiting for the next thing to happen. And I know everybody has felt that moment of suspension, or everything kind of feels the same every day, kind of like a Groundhog Day type of feeling, or you just feel like you're waiting around. The Hanged Man card is like, hey, the reason you're feeling like that is because it's an indication to you to kind of take a break from the physical world and to retreat into something that goes a little deeper or a little bit more introspective. So this card really symbolizes mostly like a time of spiritual growth and spiritual enlightenment. And it encourages us to go deeper into reflection to get a deeper understanding of ourselves and the way that we feel during our day and the different things that trigger us or don't trigger us. And this card really represents like letting go. And in this context, it would mean letting go of some of the conditionings. A lot of times our past traumas make us who we are. And while some elements of that might be positive, there are other elements that are negative, or they impact us negatively, or they tend to manipulate the situations and the experiences that we're having, because the lens that we're viewing those things from is the lens of that trauma. So with this card, what the Hanged Man does is it asks you to take something and kind of turn it on its side and look at it from a new angle. So it really wants you to like stop and pause and sit there and think about what's happening right now. And is that actually what's happening right now? So a lot of times when people decide to take this pause or this separation, it might be to focus on a hobby. Maybe it's an actual real like spiritual focus or sabbatical. Maybe it's just to volunteer or help somebody or to entertain yourself or learn like a new hobby. But the idea is to step away from the physical expectations of your everyday and the physical pressure and the worry that you put on yourself every day, and try to look and see what lies beneath um, the things that you're really involved in, you know? So the Hangman Tarot card, it really represents a path that takes you from a rational, a rational way of thinking to more of an understanding of the divinity behind that rational thought and the divinity of the actual situation. So since we're body and soul, you know, we can see things from a human perspective and we can see things from a spiritual perspective. And really, I think that what the Hangman Tarot card asks us to do is look at that picture behind the picture. So when I see the hangman come up in like somebody's tarot reading, I think of like, you know, when you're watching TV and it has a picture, you can watch this TV show and then another TV show, you know, imposed in it. So it's the picture in picture aspect. And if you think about it, in every situation, there really is another story kind of playing in the background of today's situation. Um, the Hanged Tarot card really encourages you to look at situations from a completely different perspective, because if you do, it leads you to new paths for healing and new insights or new understanding. So I kind of have an example for you. And I saw this come across YouTube or TikTok or something, and I don't really remember exactly what media I saw it on. And I'm not even really sure if the way I'm going to explain it is accurate. I just know that it impacted me, and it impacted me, and when I prayed about it, this is the understanding that I took from it. So imagine that you're having a financial difficult experience. So let's say hypothetically, I'm having a difficult time financially, and I think, oh my God, all I need is like $25,000 to drop out of the sky and drop into my lap. And if I had that, everything would be great and I would feel better about everything. And like, that's totally what I need. So, in order to make that happen, I do different physical actions so that I can find that $25,000. So maybe I take a loan, maybe I ask my parents or my friends, or maybe I ask people that I know. Maybe I try to get an equity thing on my house. I mean, who knows what I'll try to do, but I'll try to do everything I can to get that money. So my focus is on the solution. If I have this solution of this money, my focus is going to be there on that solution. And then that's what I'm going to shoot for, right? So then all of my physical effort truly becomes about getting that $25,000. And what this concept really asks you to do is say, okay, let's not look at the $25,000 and let's not look at, you know, the bills we can pay, and let's not think about the money. Let's not think about that thing that we're striving for that we think is going to solve everything. And let's see what sits behind that concept. So if you do that, and I asked myself, okay, well, what sits behind this need for the money, and what is the money going to actually do for me? I mean, we know the physical aspect of that. It's going to pay my bills, it's going to lessen my budget. I'm gonna, you know, I won't be so strapped for finances, and so that would be really good. But when I really asked myself, what is the feeling if someone did drop that money into my lap, what would I feel? And the thing that I understood is that I would feel a sense of relief. And when I asked myself that question, and I realized, oh my God, yeah, I would feel a sense of relief. Then am I searching for the $25,000, or am I searching for that feeling of relief? And what our soul wants us to do is look at the feeling that we think we're going to get if we get that physical thing. So we're going to throw away that physical thing. We're not going to think about that $25,000. And it's no longer the object of our focus, and it's no longer the object of our desire. What actually we're going to look at now is, oh, I want to feel relief connected to my financial situation. So I'm looking for this emotion and this peace, this feeling of peace or relief. So what can I do in the area of finances in my life to create a sense of relief? Because that's what I want to feel, is relief. And in what other areas of my life am I also not feeling so much peace? And what can I do in those areas of my life to achieve the feeling that I'm looking for, or the feeling that I would get hypothetically if I had that $25,000? So the hangman says, hey, there's a whole other story behind this thing you think you're obsessed with, or this thing that you think you want, or this thing that you think that you need. What is it that you're going to feel if you were to have that right now? Chase that feeling, create a plan for that feeling, because that helps you kind of flip it on its side. And the power then is not sitting on earth. The power is not sitting in that $25,000. The power is sitting in your plan to create the feeling that you're looking for, even if its source is not what you think it should be. And you'd be surprised that it eliminates the desire for the $25,000, whatever that might be in your life, whether it's a car, or whether it's a problem that you're having, or a situation that you're involved in, or even that can happen in a relationship. If my husband and I get into an argument and he says some things, I might get really mad at something that he's saying to me. But if I look at it from the hangman's perspective, it means, what's the energy behind that? What's the story behind that? Why would he say that? Is he triggered into an inner child perspective where he's fearful right now, or where he might be afraid that we're going to split up and that's why he's saying these things? If we look a little deeper into the way we're treated and the way we treat others and our motivation for doing that, if we look at the thing that we desire the most, or the thing that we think is going to fix our whole life, whether it's, oh, if I have my person, I'm going to be so happy. If I have this or I have that, and then your whole plan on earth becomes looking for the thing that you think that is going to solve all your issues, because you attach it to the world outside of you, not the world inside of you. And this is what the hangman asks you to do. It asks you to wake up. It asks you to wake up to yourself. And so we can flip that around. I'm thinking of another example. Here's one. Like, okay, so I'm not the best driver, and I can drive a truck. I can drive long distance, but I am just not a good local driver. So I tend to, rear end people, and have a lot of fender benders, although I haven't had one in a few years. So way to go, me. I'm really proud of myself for that, but let me explain a little bit about my fender benders. So being that I used to have a lot of them, if I take this concept of looking at things from a different perspective, which I did during that time, I'd say, like, if I'm looking at it from the human perspective, I'm like, why does this always happen to me? How come I always get into these fender benders? How come people don't know how to drive? How come people are stopping so fast? And it was frustrating, not to mention the safety classes that I had to take for driving, and the insurance bump up and things like that. So when I looked at it and I tried to find the story behind the fender benders, I realized that every time I had one, I was in a rush. Every time I had one, I felt overwhelmed. Every time I had one, I hadn't grounded myself before I got in the car. Like, sometimes when I do sessions, my spirit is so transcended into that space of spirit. And then I'm done with my sessions. And when I'm done with my sessions, I'm really hungry. So I get in the car and I drive, but I haven't grounded myself. I haven't balanced myself out. I'm still up here somewhere like in La La Land. And I wasn't in the moment of driving. I was still in that moment of suspension. And when I thought about it, it all came back to, okay, yes, I'm having a lot of fender benders, but the story behind that story, or the picture in picture, is I'm not paying attention. I'm not being mindful. I'm not in the moment of grounding. I did not ground myself. back to my body after my sessions, or I was distracted or overwhelmed or emotional. And so instead of stressing about the fender benders and the insurance and the tickets and stuff, I really started to try to focus on the that understanding that I wasn't being mindful. And so I created a new measurement for myself. And a lot of times when we find the story behind the story, like the actual story, it puts a little bit of responsibility on us to create a new level of measurement for ourselves so that we don't get drawn back into that same behavior or that same obsession or that same desire or that same situation. And so that's why it's really important to create this level of measurement for yourself, which is what I did both with my $25,000 idea of how, my finances could be better. I actually held myself and am continuing to hold myself to this measurement of, okay, I'm looking for a feeling of relief. And I have this thing that, like, if I make $200, literally, I take that $200 and I turn around and I put $175 on the credit card and I pay that much on the credit card, which leaves me $25. And that does not create a sense of relief for me. So if I'm looking for relief, maybe I'll pay 125. So I have $75 left over because now I know that in order for me not to obsess about this thing in the physical world, I must create the thing I'm actually looking for, which goes both ways. That maybe I'm not going to send as much money to pay off the credit card right now because I won't feel relief if I only have $25 and I got to get 15 things from, the grocery store. So that's what the hangman asks, is that you set up this level of measurement for yourself. And so I did that also with the fender benders. And make sure you're patient with yourself when you do this because you'll forget a few times and then it'll click in your head and you're like, oh yeah, that's right. I actually set up a level of measurement for myself. So I didn't listen to it. And that's why I had this fender bender. And so, you'll set this measurement up for yourself and you will try to attain it, but you'll make a couple mistakes. Those couple mistakes where you catch yourself not living up to that level of measurement, it'll be so big in your brain that you won't be able to overlook it and you won't be able to ignore it. And you'll end up starting to achieve that little by little. And then after a little while, that new level of measurement, it becomes like a muscle memory. So I'm really good at bagging out of parking spaces now, and I haven't rammed into anybody or hit anybody recently. Oh my gosh, knock on wood. And I realized, a couple weeks ago, I was getting ready to back out of Walmart. I was waiting for Marissa to come out of the store, and when I backed up, I immediately like followed all my level of measurement, and I'm so glad I did, and I'm so glad that it has become this muscle memory because I didn't hit the person that was standing behind my car. So yay me again. But the point that I'm making is this tarot really asks us to look at our own situations from a different perspective, to gain some understanding about ourselves from that new way of looking at things, to set up a level of measurement for ourselves so that we can achieve the feelings that we're looking at, because it's never about the physical thing, you guys. It's never about holding that $25,000 in your hand. That is paper. It's paper. What we feel from it, though, relief. For me, maybe for you, it means going on a vacation, right? Maybe it means, oh, I get to go on this vacation I've always wanted to go on. And that's what it means for you. Like, if I get this $25,000, I can go on that Alaskan cruise. So, what's it going to bring me? What level of emotion and feeling? Because that's the actual thing that we're actually chasing. And when we learn that about ourselves, we have this ability to see the picture behind the picture much more easily, and we can help other people to find that too. This is a difficult concept because it means that we have to sacrifice something. It means that we have to let go of something that doesn't serve us anymore, or that isn't good for us anymore. And if we can do these things, it's a very transformative process and becomes a very transformative process because by changing your perspective and letting go of the old patterns or the old way of reacting, you really open up significant personal growth for yourself and significant personal growth and change for every relationship that you belong to, whether it's a work relationship or even being at work, it's your family or your friends or your loved ones. It makes a complete difference when you're able to see something that goes deeper than where we think the power is, because we really think the power is here on earth and it's not. So, one of the key challenges that's really presented by the hangman is this act of surrender because it does require letting go and embracing that everything's going to work out exactly as it should because you've been focusing on the correct things. And I really connect this card to a spiritual awakening, knowing that you can have a lot of spiritual awakenings throughout your life. Every time you uncover a layer of humanity, you are having an awakening because your truth and your soul is more able to express itself when you pick off those layers of humanity. This is one way that you're going to do it because you're going to be looking a little deeper. So it's good. And I challenge you, or I ask you, what have you awakened to within yourself recently? And how has your perspective changed with any new awarenesses that you've had recently or throughout the course of your life, Um, I guess the hangman and the last, in summary, or the kind of the last thing I want to say is that be patient. And I think I said that, but really quickly a little earlier. But like, be patient with yourself because we tie ourselves to our physical understanding of the world around us and to the way the world taught us that we're supposed to respond to things. And the world has taken um, this stance in our life that like go go go, achieve achieve achieve, and if you do, you should be happy. hmm that's the kicker, right? You should be happy. If I have this money, I will be happy. But is that what I was really looking for? I wasn't looking for happiness. I was looking for relief. I was looking for peace. So really pay attention to the deeper meaning of your life and of the things that you participate in every day. And I think that's all I want to say about that for this month. There is a worksheet attached somewhere on the page for the Pure Soul members, so you can print off the worksheet if you want to fill it out. But basically, it's going to talk about these concepts that I talked to you about today. And all right, I think that's all. I hope I see you guys on August 21st for the Pure Soul at 6 p.m. Central Time and 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So thank you so much. I'll see you guys then and stay blessed. Bye.